Hi everyone, my name's Jordan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review of the City of Dusk by Tara Sim. This is an arc I got from NetGalley, so I would like to thank NetGalley and the publisher for this arc in exchange for an honest review. This is the first book in a trilogy and I'll start by saying I really liked it. It is very cool. It is set in this City of Dusk, that is the nickname of this city, and it is set in this kingdom that is broken into 4 realms, and each realm has an heir that is given a divine power from their god. However, a few generations ago, the gods sealed up this kingdom. They have cut themselves off, so these heirs still have magic, but the gods no longer favor this kingdom. And without the gods' favor, this kingdom is dying. There is food shortages. It's basically like the effects that global warming would have. The crops are dying, the winters are longer, things like that. And the city is dying because of it, and the whole kingdom. These 4 heirs who are competing to be the heir to the entire kingdom now have to work together to try to save their realm. The magic in this is incredibly cool. The 4 realms each have their own type of magic based on their own individual god. So there is light magic, shadow magic, death magic, and then what is called life magic, which is like the ability to control the elements. And it is just really cool. Like there's a lot of like necromancy, and there's like dark shadowy magic, and then there's like this bright golden, like it's all just incredibly cool, like to see all of the way these different magics all interact. The 4 heirs are very fun characters to follow. They all have their different ambitions, they all have their different personalities that are very unique, and seeing them try to mesh these personalities to work together is very cool, because for a lot of their lives, they've been pitted against each other, but now they must all come together to work on saving their realm. The heir for the life magic is Angelica, who is incredibly ambitious and cutthroat and does not like to interact with the other heirs. So her being put into this is very hard for her compared to some of the other heirs. The heir for the death magic is Risha. She is basically this like badass necromancer, and her magic was like some of my favorite. She is very driven by her family and her love for her family. She is much more reserved than some of the other heirs. She doesn't take as many risks. She does what she's told, kind of. Then we have Tasha, who is not an heir. Her brother is the heir. But at the beginning of this book, her brother gets kind of like wrapped up in this conspiracy thing, and she becomes the heir. And she has the shadow magic. So basically, like, she commands shadows. And she is probably the most morally gray character next to Angelica. She makes a lot of tough decisions that you're like, well, is it right? Like, she toes that line of like, I don't know about that. And I think that her character is very fun because she never wanted to have this position of power. She didn't want to be an heir, and she was unexpectedly thrust into it. And I think that that creates this kind of like challenging dynamic for her that is hard for her to cope with. And having to make these hard decisions and having to actually protect her people when she's always just depended on her brother for that is a fun plot line to follow for her. Then the last heir is Nicholas. He has light magic, and his magic is kind of stunted almost. There's this ritual that the heir has to do where they go to their temple, and his god is Phos. I think that's how you pronounce it, Phos, Phos. And there's this whole ceremony where Phos is supposed to like imbue him with power, and there's this like magical spear, and he does this and it doesn't happen. He still has magic, he just isn't given that like level up almost, and so his dad is like very disappointed in him. Nicholas was also thrust into an heir position when his older brother died a few years back. So his dad has always seen him as like the spare, and the challenges that he has to face within his family is very tough. And so all of these 4 characters with these incredibly different backgrounds, incredibly different family dynamics, all have to come together and work together, and it is very fun to see. I think that the plot was kind of confusing. The magic system and the plot I didn't fully get, honestly, until maybe like 3/4 into the book. There was a lot that I was confused about. There's a lot of characters to follow besides just the 4 heirs. Like, there's a lot of side characters that we have to follow, and the magic is not really ever explicitly told, like, this is the magic system, this is the kingdom. Maybe it was, and I just wasn't picking up on it, but to me it was very confusing for a lot of it. I think that the characters really drove this story and their relationships. I really loved reading about all of their struggles, and I think that this like connection to the gods is very cool. I wish we had explored more about the different people in each of these realms, like the everyday people. Like, we kind of hint on it in some of the realms, but it's not really explored much. Like in the shadowy realm, there are a race of people called Noctans that have like horns, and they aren't used to sunlight and all of this other stuff. And we went there a few times, but like we didn't really explore a lot of that. And then in the other realms, we didn't explore much about the regular people at all. And I kind of wish we had gotten a little more of that to kind of see how this ceiling was really affecting an everyday person, because these 4 heirs weren't being affected by like food shortages and things like that. And we definitely see these heirs being empathetic towards these other people, but we don't really get to explore the city much outside of like these royal houses. I think that the political structure is also kind of weird to me, because there's like the king, who is the center of all of the realms, and then each of these realms there's these heirs, but the heirs are not like the oldest. Like, all of their parents are in the story. So it was very confusing to me why the parents weren't fighting to be the like next in line to the throne. I guess because maybe they're around the same age as the king, so that maybe wouldn't make sense. I don't know, it just felt weird to me that these like older, like I think they're like in their early 20s is what I like kind of figured, why they're the ones that are getting their god's divine power instead of the parents. Like, the parents also have magic. So that's why I was just kind of confused. I don't really understand that, but I did love the characters we were following, and I liked that they were put under a lot of pressure by their parents. All of them were, in different ways. Like, some of the parents were much more supportive than others, but they were all put under pressure by their parents to represent their family and to try to become the heir to the throne. And I think that really the characters were the strong suit of this book. I think the pacing was good. I think it was pretty fast paced throughout. We're constantly learning more about the magic system. There's this like forbidden magic called conjuration, which is the main like conflict in the book. Is there's this underground group of conjurers that are summoning like the dead, almost like they're like raising the dead, but not in the way that the necromancers are. It's like this forbidden, like they draw chalk circles with like symbols and stuff, and it is heavily forbidden. And so that is like one of the main conflicts in the book, is these heirs trying to figure out who these conjurers are and why they're doing this, because it's like killing people, like they're getting out of control. And I think that that plot line was really cool. And so like that's kind of what propelled the book a lot of the time, was like these conjurers. And I think that it kept the book moving pretty fast paced. And I really liked that. I think enjoyment factor, I did really enjoy it. I think the last like 30% of the book was like, it went off the rails. We really picked up the pace. And I was reading on my Kindle because it was a ebook, and I was like, flipping. And I remember I was at work on my lunch break in the middle of the ending climactic battle fight thing, and I had like 20 minutes left in the book and my lunch was over, and I was like, are you kidding me? But I did really enjoy it. Again, I think the beginning was kind of hard to understand. Like the first bit was confusing. I was having a hard time following the magic. I was having a hard time following all the characters. I still don't think I fully understand the magic. I think I understand it a little better. But again, it's just never really explicitly told to us. Like, here's the magic system and here's how it works. And I know that that's part of like being an adult fantasy, is that a lot of times we are not just told how things work, but I think that maybe this book could have done a little bit better with some explanation, like some sort of like maybe a training exercise or something. Like, we don't really get that. They all already know their powers in some shape or form. I wish we had maybe gotten some flashbacks to like being a child and learning how to control their powers. Like that might help like the understanding of how this magic system works. But ultimately, by the end, I mostly understood what was going on, and we really got some like level ups to their powers by the end, and it was so fun to read. I already pre-ordered this book. I do that a lot with ARCs. If it is the first book in a series and I really like it, I will pre-order it so that I can then get the rest of the series as they come out. So I do think this book is worth pre-ordering. I believe it comes out March 22nd, I believe. And I would definitely recommend you pre-order this book because it is very fun, very unique, and a very good fantasy read. That is the end of my review of The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you've also gotten this arc and what you thought of it. Let me know if you're gonna pre-order it now because of this video. I would love to hear some feedback on maybe what you would like to see in future review videos. This is my first dedicated review video and I kind of was winging it. So let me know if there's more information or less information you want about certain things in future reviews. And I thank you all so much for your support, and until next time, thank you.